Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives. I'm going to ask you a question. I have no idea who's watching. I have no idea what's going on in your personal life right now. I have no idea where you've been, what your experiences have been like, and how your health is. I have no idea what in fact is going on in your world. What I can ask you is this. Are you where you thought you would be when you were a kid? When you were a little kid, at this stage in your life, are you where you thought you would be? Did you think life was going to turn out the way life has turned out? Did you envision things playing out exactly as they are? I remember watching television when I was a kid. And you watch all the happy people at Christmas time, and the guy with the well-slicked hair, and the always, somehow or another, every date was in a suit. They were always walking around in a suit and window shopping, and everything was hunky-dory, and snow was falling, and everything was just special, you know? Even when things were bad, they were good, right? I remember my father when I was a young man, and he was talking about how difficult it was, and just be grateful I'm a child, you know. Someday you'll get to do this. Didn't make a lot of sense then. I sat there in a really, really shitty little diner nearby my home. I ordered some eggs. I ordered the never-ending cup of coffee. And I sat there drinking this garbage coffee as I felt the hot waves touching my cavities in my mouth and stuff like that. You know, each sip. And I just started looking at my coffee like I was in a bar. You know, just sitting there looking in your cup of tequila, looking down, and, you know, this isn't where I thought I'd be when I turned 49 or 50. And I started wondering, it was like, what do you think put us in this position? You know, you always talk about the next generation is supposed to be better off than the prior generation. Are you leaving the world better for your kids than it was left for you, kind of thing? It's always, you know, the generation's supposed to have more money, more life, more, everything's supposed to be better, right? Everything's supposed to be better, but it's not. Our standard of living has gone down. Our lives have gotten worse. You know, I'm going to say something that is incredibly difficult to get your head wrapped around, and it's just going to be an economic story mixed with some politics. But it's a very important one, and I hope I'm able to penetrate this. I hope I'm able to present it in such a way that you'll understand it, because I'm scared to death to touch this. In fact, I sat there when I was looking at that cup of coffee, planning this live stream, thinking about it, and it's like, Steve, if you step in this the wrong way, you could really, really screw yourself. But I'm going to take a crack at it. And if I get it wrong this time, I'll get it right next time. So stick with me, okay? So neoliberalism talks about different racial components. It talks about different gender components. These people have been historically oppressed. These people have historically been the oppressors. So let's go ahead and lift them up and bring them down, and we'll even it out, kind of thing. And that's great, because you understand that there are oppressed communities in this world that have been beaten down and treated like second-class citizens forever. Just the other night, I was watching The Extras, this little documentary about The Incredibles Part 2, where Samuel L. Jackson talked about his fascination with superheroes, coming from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and realizing that his idea of a better future was a fantasy world. He saw these men with boots and capes and tights that could do great things. And he could dream through the world of a superhero. He could envision something greater than himself by being a superhero, but nobody ever told him he could be a superhero. And so that's why he chooses superhero roles to play. Because he couldn't imagine it any other way. He thinks about things through the eyes of a child as to what would be a good role. And I sit here and I say, I did all the things you said, man. I did all the things you said. Went and got the degrees. Got the certifications. Got the long resume. And it didn't play out the way I wanted it to, right? And so what neoliberalism does is it takes the people that were oppressed for 5 minutes and it elevates them at the expense of someone else. It doesn't ever solve the problem. It just changes the demographic. You still have the same amount of suffering. It's just shifted differently. They haven't solved the problem. They've just shifted the demographic of the suffering. What I have found so compelling in my efforts to understand and activate based on modern monetary theory is the fact that we don't have to pick and choose, that everybody can be whole. We don't need to make fathers, single fathers who are no longer in their kids' lives. We don't need to make them horrible, wretched deadbeats. We can lift them up too. We can lift all people up, right? We don't have to always make somebody the bad guy. Somebody doesn't always have to be the bad guy. We don't need to have villains and heroes. We can all just exist and be good and happy. But we don't, because neoliberalism demands a villain, and we're always eager to take the villain and beat them down. If you've ever seen the movie, forget reading the book, because the book is great, but the movie has one particular part, the movie 1984 by George Orwell. There's this one segment called 2 Minutes of Hate. 2 Minutes of Hate, where they scream at the screen, just screaming at the screen to prove that they hate Goldstein more than the others do. The Jewish guy, fancy that. Screaming. And the party people are looking around to see who's screaming, making sure they're screaming appropriately. And I look and I see people that have their entire profile based on hating Trump. Everything's about hating Trump. And God bless you, hate Trump, do whatever. But that's not getting out of the hole that we're in. And I'm telling you right now, it's a distraction for those of us who are really suffering. For those of us who have gotten caught up in the demographic game that neoliberalism plays, it still keeps just this amount of success there for the people to take. There's not more success available. There's still the same amount of success available. The only difference is that they whittle away some people here, whittle away some people here, add a few people there, but they keep the same exact small, tiny class of people able to succeed. Everybody else suffers. Everybody else suffers. They haven't solved anything, but what they've done now by doing this is they've gotten a few people from the oppressed communities to have risen above so that then they can be the whipping boys for their own people and say, if I did it, anyone can do it. And there they are, eat your peas. There they are, once again, berating down, punching down. Punching down for people that can't do better because there's only so much room in this little teeny world of success. They've sold us all a lie. But it's a lie that does have a happy ending if we choose to make it a happy ending. And this is the problem, folks. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. And that, my friends, is a reckoning I'm not ready to accept. I'm not ready to accept this won't happen in my lifetime, even though it may well not. But the thought of living another 30 years, 10 years even, with things as shitty as they are, is not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And it's important. It is important that we realize how serious this is. Some people have a much longer rope before they snap. But other people's rope is very, very short because they've whittled it down to nothing. And I'm telling you, the quicker we realize what the end goal is, and distractions are gone, we push them aside, we stop allowing them to derail us, and we focus in, we might have a chance. But I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at third parties. I'm pointing to you third parties. And I'm telling you right now, hope is for something that's unseen. It's faith in something that's unseen. Hope in a better tomorrow is great. We all need hope to put one foot in front of the other. But we also need to live life on life's terms today as well. And that means we need to address the pain and suffering today and stop punching down as you sit there and decide whether or not people have a right to fight for today. Take, for example, ranked choice voting. I see every time I do these live streams, there's always some guy named Daniel that comes in and does hashtag ranked choice voting, ranked choice voting. And it's like, oh, that's great. What are you doing to affect that? Being in a third party doesn't give you ranked choice voting. You've got to get the duopoly to vote for ranked choice voting to have ranked choice voting. You don't get ranked choice voting just because you want it. You have to do something to get it. When it comes to economic opportunity, when it comes to Medicare for all, as a third-party member, you don't just get to yell and scream about it. You've got to take steps to get it. And guess who's got the power to vote right now? Right here, right now. That's right. Those bastards you want to dem exit, you want to whatever. They're the ones, unfortunately, that get to cast a vote today. So while we're hoping for tomorrow, the pain and suffering of today is real. And if you're not helping out with that, what are you doing? I don't want to join you to walk off a bridge and fall to the friggin' depths of this earth. I want to walk in step and get things done. What are we doing to fix this? I'm not asking you to tell me. I'm asking you to think about it. People collecting is a non-starter for me. You can always get a group of people to go this way and a group of people to go that way. What you can't do is get a group of people to put one foot in front of the other and be successful. To unite and fight for the same causes. This is why, for me, a Green New Deal, which is what the Green Party said they were for, which is what Real Progressives has always fought for, which is what people like Tim Canova ran on, and which is what you've got now Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez running on. And now you've even got Australia pushing for these sorts of things. We've got a global initiative to have these sorts of things going on right now. That's hope. That's real hope, and that's actionable hope, that we can take one step in front of the other, to take pride, to take action, to do something useful today. But there's too many people out there that when you look in the mirror, you see your long face. You see your rotting teeth. You see the bags under your eyes. You see all the hopes and dreams and what ifs that have gone. You see all the potential that you thought you had when you were 19 years old go out the window. You're wondering, what do I have to live for? What is there today that can give me hope for tomorrow? Why do I continue to move forward? And it's got to be about purpose. It's got to be about purpose. This is what my coffee moment brought to me. It's one thing to live with your head in the clouds. I love dreaming. I love envisioning a better tomorrow. But I'm telling you folks, the suicides are going to start happening. There's going to be lots of pain and suffering if we don't get this right now. I'm not okay with that, so I can build your third party. We've got to build your third party, and we've got to solve these legislative battles today. We've got to do a lot of things, but we can't sit there and take pot shots at this stuff. Tell me what your positive vision for today and tomorrow is. Help me have hope. Help me have something to latch onto, and give me marching orders so that I can build. Don't make me tear down constantly. Help me build. I can't take your negativity anymore. Your negativity is as corrosive as the establishment gaslighting. I want to see people unplugging from conspiracies, as tempting and as alluring as they are, and focus on what we've got right here in front of us so that we can survive not only as a species, but as people, as individuals, so that we can pull together and do something. Because folks, I'm telling you right now, I sat there and I felt like there was the two hulking figures from a 1950s black and white Alcohol Anonymous flyer with their derby hats on, looking down sternly at me as I sat there and was coming out of a 3-week drunk. That's what I felt like when I was sitting there at that diner. You know, I felt like I had the 5 o'clock shadow, and I felt like, I was just warlorn and beaten, defeated. I almost wrote an article called "The Day I Stopped Hoping." I still may write that article. But I am so frustrated, beyond frustrated, with people that sell you running to the woods and sell you running to all these things, and they can't stay focused. It's important. Go grow some freaking fresh vegetables. Knock yourself out, please. But stop acting like that's some sort of form of governance. Stop acting like that solves the problems. If you want to live, that's a lifestyle choice. I'll never take that away from you. But that is not the solution to bringing everyone up. I have been on the bleeding edge within the activist community about economics since I started yelling taxes don't fund spending. And I got the living shit kicked out of me. I got the shit kicked out of me like you wouldn't believe. I had to be the one that dealt with the concussion of that paradigm shift. And I got to experience firsthand how deeply entrenched the lack of hope is. How hopeless society is. How unwilling to look at solutions society has become because they have become so utterly jaded with life, jaded with anyone that presents possibilities. And I can't live in negative, folks. I can't stay there for long. I mean, it literally is shit or walk, fuck or walk, hit the bricks. I can't live in that negative space for any length of time. It'll consume me. It will absolutely consume me to live in that negative space. You know, I have great friends that are in the Green Party. I have great friends that are in other alternative parties like Movement for a People's Party. I have great friends that are in the Democratic Party. And I have great friends from all over the world, people that I really care about. And to a fault, people recognize the death spiral that we're in. And they recognize that we've got to do something. We've got to take action. We can't just sit there and cry over it. We can't just sit there and point out what's wrong. We've got to come back with solutions, and they are there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is the best part of it. A federal job guarantee with a living wage is already something that would be saving my ass from the fire right this minute. Getting rid of student debt. I want to tell you something. I had consolidated $127,000 worth of student loans. I couldn't defer my student loans because I'm not working in the state government. I made too much money when I was working to qualify. And now what they've done is they've defaulted on my student loans. They've broken them up into 12 separate things, and all 12 of them hit my credit report at the same time. I went from having a 700 and something credit score to down to the 400s. Down to the 400s from August till now. I went from the 700s, dropped way down, and I'm even tipping near the 300s, folks. I am economically not viable. This is America. This is neoliberalism. It's all fixable. And I want you to know something too. A guy in my position, and I'm using myself, but I'm not alone, trust me. A guy in my position goes into a domestic court to talk about child support. And they look at the ability to pay. They say, well, he's got 2 master's degrees. This guy's got a great resume. He could afford this. Never mind the fact that over that period of time, I haven't been able to find work. Never mind the fact that my kids, were they to be with me, would be struggling too. So they've immediately put a burden that transcends the child when it's completely something that the state could handle. And I'm not talking about for me. I'm talking about in general. These are things that we look at and we get wrapped up in this race to the bottom, pitting the little people against each other. And the reality is, we can support one another. We have the ability to do this. There's no reason for so much destitution and pain. There's no reason for your sons and daughters and people that got knocked out during the global financial crisis who went back to school and took on huge debt in their late 50s to get a second career because we pushed retirement out so far. There's no reason that we couldn't solve that too. Folks, this is doable. It's not like, oh man, if we just put soap in the floor of the Rothschilds' bathtub, they'll slip and fall and we'll fix the world. This isn't that kind of stupid stuff here. I'm talking about legitimate stuff. We can legitimately do this. Legitimately do this. And that, my friends, is the only hope, the literal only hope that I have is that you all will wake up and hear what I'm saying. And it's not me. It's not my words. Now, I can connect with regular people better than others because I have experienced tremendous pain and suffering. I have experienced these things, so I speak the common language of suffering. I understand what it means to live life and lose. But I also know what it means to accomplish things. So I speak bidirectionally. And I'm here to tell you, the 99% is our family. That's our family, the 99%. And that includes people that you don't like. I guarantee you tomorrow, when you sit down to have whatever you're going to celebrate for Thanksgiving, there's going to be somebody at that table you just can't stand. And they're still your family. And I'm here to tell you, they're part of the 99%. They're part of the group of people we claim that we need to support to make this shit work. You know, it's funny because when I do these things, I don't script them at all. I'm gifted enough that I know how to keep a story going, and I'm gifted enough not to derail myself too far, but I don't script this out. This is right from here. Honest to God, every word that comes from my mouth is straight out of my heart. And I'm here to tell you that I get choked up when I do this stuff. I really do. I get choked up because I believe it. I'm a true believer. And I'm suffering. And so I can express that in the midst of it while it's happening. Because why waste suffering? Why allow that suffering to go to waste when I can talk and relate and show people that it can happen to you too? This is not reserved for uneducated people, folks. I am well educated. I swear to God, I could teach university. I could write books. I could do all kinds of stuff. I've got many skills. And I feel like I do many of them very well. And I'm still struggling. I have a special needs child, right? I got 2 hours sleep last night. These are things that you can't measure. You can't measure that. But the American dream, it ain't happening. I'm not walking around with a nice suit on, fit, six-pack abs, walking down the street pointing at people wherever I go. It's not happening like that. No, folks, I'm on the wrong side of it right now. But I'm looking to build a movement to fix that. I'm looking to build a movement that doesn't take you out of your parties. You stay in whatever party you want to be in. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I'm here to create a movement that infects your parties. I'm here to create economic awareness. I'm here to tell you the possibilities of what we can do to solve these problems. I'm here to give you a new lease on life that I'm struggling with right now too. I'm here to give you the lens by which you can view the possibilities of a truly better tomorrow while working for a great today. And you know what? Maybe the hardest thing anybody can tell you, maybe it's not going to get any better. Maybe today won't be better. Maybe today is going to really suck. Maybe you won't live to see a better tomorrow. But it doesn't make it any less worth fighting for. And it doesn't make it any less valuable for your grandchildren and your children and for somebody you don't even know. To stop wars for oil, you need an alternative. We need green energy. To stop climate change, at least the cataclysmic events that are coming, it's too late. But it might not be too late to mitigate them. We need green energy. We need a federal job guarantee so that the military is not the employer of last resort. When people are healthy, they make better decisions. We need a healthcare system that supports our best state of health. We need shelter, because when you have fear of lack of food insecurity, housing insecurity, you name it, you make very different choices. You are primal. You are not thinking as somebody who has the time to think. You're thinking like a feral animal looking for shelter, trying to survive. We need to be able to elevate the consciousness of the people so that they can have a better dream, so we can move forward with confidence and not leave people behind. These are all possible. But we need the people to understand how the system works, not how it's talked about by the Green Party, where they talk about fake stuff about the fractional reserve, blah, blah, blah. Not by the way the Democrats talk about by reducing deficits and all this other shit. Not by the way the Republicans talk about where they're fearing the national debt in China and blah, blah, blah. But the real, honest story. And when all of us, the 99%, that full picture, understand the playing field, then we're going to see a lot of these bullshit political arguments fall to the wayside. We're going to see an awful lot of inequality and inequity drop away immediately. We're going to see a lot less problems with xenophobia and all sorts of other problems that we see. Imagine when I tell you that the cure for a bad business cycle is solving poverty. What happens when the people who are in poverty are able to purchase food for their families? Do you think that hurts the grocery store? Do you think that hurts the local community? Or do you think the local community suddenly has an uptick and is vibrant? Think about it. When we spend on the poor, when we spend on the people are whole and they can do different things. I'm asking you to consider helping us carry this message forward, working with us in whatever fashion you can. We really do need a movement, and I'm tired of partisan bullshit. I really want to see everyone feel like there's a chance to do better today, because I don't want to lose hope, and I don't want you to either. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives, folks. Have a great day, everybody, and have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a great Thanksgiving and all the other bullshit. But bottom line is, be true to yourselves, and remember, not me, us. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.